In this webinar, we are going to talk about remarketing and we'll do the basics, how it works, why it works. I'm going to compare the difference between traditional and smart remarketing and ideas of how it can be implemented. Remarketing is similar to email marketing. When you have a autoresponder set up when somebody abandons your checkout, you send them an email. Remarketing is where you show them an ad instead on other websites after they left your website. So retargeting is basically a lot like email marketing, except it's instead of sending it emails, you're sending out ads across the web. When people leave your website, they'll end up seeing those ads. So in this chart, what I was showing is that when you do remarketing, customer comes in, he browses your website, he puts an item in the shopping cart, and then he leaves, he doesn't buy it. And as he browses the internet, he can go to CNN or Google or wherever he's going to go. He's going to end up seeing your ad. And the idea behind remarketing is he's going to see that ad eventually, and then he's going to click on it and then come back. And maybe you want to trigger some kind of a coupon when he returns, and then he's going to buy the product. So with remarketing, it gives you four things that you can do with your visitors after they leave your website. So you could engage with your customers, which obviously will increase the conversions. And when I say engage, when somebody comes to your website, they may not know your story. They may not know who you are, what you're about. They might just see your product and then they're going to leave and that's it. The idea behind engaging is that you can tell your story through remarketing. So let me give you an example. Somebody comes to your website and they leave and you start remarketing to them. Now, if I called you and said, hey, tell me a little bit more about your company, tell me how you started, tell me why I should do business with you versus doing business with someone else, you might start giving me this long history of why you do what you do. Let's just imagine that you're having a beer with someone and you're telling them about your company, right? You're going to talk to them for at least 10 minutes. Maybe you're going to talk to them for even longer than 10 minutes. Maybe you're going to talk to them for an hour. With Shopping Cart Elite, in our About Us section, we have an hour worth of video footage just kind of trying to explain who we are. This is what it means by engaging. It doesn't matter how good your content is on your website, you still only have like at most 7 minutes to engage with your customer. That's like the most, even if you have great content. If you don't have good content, you might have a minute to engage. By remarketing, you could potentially create ads which tell your story, and instead of trying to sell them products through those ads, you're going to tell the story using the banner ads. On average, I believe you get about 5 seconds for every 10 impressions or 10 ads you show to somebody. By showing 20 ads, you get 10 seconds of their attention. And we're going to get more into how to do this effectively. Be seen. If you want to play the stalker and follow your customer around so the only ads he sees online is for your company, this would achieve that as well. Awareness, if you do this right and you want to kind of make your brand known, which again, kind of telling the story, this would be used for that. And specifically targeting the right kind of a customer at the right time to make the sale. And again, we'll get more into it in this webinar. Why does remarketing work? When the visitors leave your website, a lot of times for most companies, if you were unable to capture their email, once the visitor leaves, that's it, they're gone. Chances of them coming back, not very high out of your total count. So let's say if you have 100 engaged visitors, and let's say that it takes, 7 days to purchase your product. If you're selling diapers and somebody comes to your website, they probably want to buy these diapers yesterday and have them overnighted. But if you're selling, Richard is on the webinar, he sells a water filtering system that also energizes the water, he might need a month to close the sale. And if somebody comes to the website today and they are truly interested, but they're not ready to purchase it, they're going to get busy with their daily grind, and the amount of time it takes to purchase this system is 30 days. So by the time 30 days passes, he's going to forget about it. So if you look at 100 people that are potentially coming in to buy your product, and the life cycle to buy your product is 30 days, by the time you reach 30 days, you're going to be down to like 2 people, not 100 anymore. You can also check T to see what your engagement score is. So if your engagement is less than 10%, meaning you're converting less than 10% of your total engaged visitors, remarketing could be an answer to your problem where you could close those lost visitors. According to Gleanster, you're basically guaranteed to lose 50% of your engaged visitors. In other words, like there's no way you're going to convert 100% of them. So considering that you're definitely losing half, no matter what you do, you could potentially recover that, and you don't have to really lose them. The last point is that some people might say, well, showing the same ad, I disagree with showing the same ad, but ultimately showing an ad for your company, if it's the right kind of ad, to people who are truly interested in your company is not a waste of money. Because if somebody's really engaging with your company, these are your customers. A lot of clients that I speak with, they don't have a lot of customers that are recurring. They might only have like 50 to 100 customers, and they have $1 million business, and their whole business survives, and there's 50 to 100 customers. So you don't need to have 1 million customers or 10,000 customers. 50 to 100 is enough as long as you can properly keep in touch with them. To end this slide, the bottom line is that when somebody leaves your website and showed that you had a good engagement on that visitor, and you have no email for them to communicate with them, that doesn't have to be the end of the story where you don't see them ever again. You can actually re-engage with everybody after they leave. So why does it work? And I have a real life scenario. Let's imagine you have a storefront and you have an electronics store, so he finds a laptop and he is interested and he's talking to the salesperson, I'm interested in this laptop, and then he just leaves and he doesn't buy the laptop. And after he leaves, as he starts driving around, he sees billboards promoting that laptop, he's getting emails with discounts for that exact laptop. His mobile phone, as he's browsing on his mobile phone, he's seeing ads for that laptop. He gets advertisements from like YouTube. Anywhere he looks, that laptop is in his face. It's like he never left the store. Except it's not annoying. A lot of times you might see this where you shop on the website, you leave, and then you just get the same ad over and over again. That's kind of annoying. But imagine it not being annoying. Imagine the whole ad campaign after he left the store will be more about features of that laptop and how you can do things with that laptop and how amazing that laptop is and how great the LCD is and so on and so on. Ultimately, if he was really set on buying that laptop, he might go return to the store and buy it, right? Especially if all the ads are pointing him back to that store. So that's a real life scenario of how this remarketing would work. Here's the difference between traditional remarketing and smart remarketing. The traditional remarketing, which is what you'll probably find when you go to any agency, they're going to say, well, let's take a piece of JavaScript with a pixel and we'll put it on your website and we're going to just target everybody, all the traffic, and we're going to target absolutely everybody. If you want, we can maybe segment by age, so we can say female, male, or we can say, certain age. And there's other ways of doing it where if you give us your email list, we can maybe match them up by their email. We can match them up by keyword search. We can match them on social. Ultimately, what they're saying is, let's target everybody, including botnets, who's going to waste your money, and let's annoy your visitors to hell, and let's set a frequency of 20 ads per month of the same ad. And we'll keep showing it 20 times to the same person, including botnets and people who don't really care about your company, and we'll probably have a successful campaign. That's basically what every agency says. What we're saying is that that's nonsense, and you should consider doing smart remarketing with T. And what that means is we're going to detect engagement first. We're going to make sure that that is the right visitor who actually is truly interested in your product by using the T visitor behavior analysis. When visitor comes to the website, we track their mouse movement, and as they're engaging with different content of your website, we give them a score. Eventually, they reach an excellent engaged score, and then we trigger the remarketing pixel in them. We call it a fire a pixel. So we're firing a pixel into their browser, and now their browser knows about showing the ads all over the place. The idea here is targeting them at the right place, right time. So we say, okay, how about instead of just targeting 1 pixel, we're going to do 10 pixels. We're going to fire 10 pixels into their browsers, and we're going to turn them off. We just tagged them in their browser, but we're not doing anything. And I'll get to that in a second why we're doing that. And then we're going to set the frequency to 500. So instead of doing 20 ads, we're going to do 500 ads. And we're going to create 500 unique ads. So we're going to create 500 unique ads telling the story about your company or about the product that you carry or whatever. And then what we do is when Black Friday comes around or Cyber Monday comes around, we can then trigger that particular campaign. So in other words, every pixel can be an event or a holiday or some kind of a promotion. When you want to do a launch, you can trigger that promotion for that period, and that's it. So now check this out, what's happening. You can tag people. A lot of times when holidays come around, you kind of scramble and you're like, okay, we need to email our email list, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do this, right? You're basically putting in a crazy budget last minute. What you can do is over the year, you can tag people's browsers, right? So everybody who comes into your website, they get tagged, they get tagged, they get tagged. There's other ways of tagging them, like through email marketing and so on. And ultimately, what ends up happening is when, let's say, Black Friday or Cyber Monday comes around, you can then initiate that campaign. So while all the advertisers are going and paying Google, oh, we need to pay Google for this holiday season, guess whose ads your target customers are seeing? They're seeing your ads because you're putting a higher budget for display advertising, because you know that you might have 1,000 people in that campaign that eventually got tagged over the year, and they're very important to you, so you're willing to spend that money, but you know that you're not spending it on like just some nonsense people. You're actually spending them on people who care for buying your product. Now, each one of these pixels could be potentially for an event or a holiday, but it doesn't have to be just for an event or a holiday. It could also be just regular customers coming in and triggering the engagement, and then once the engagement is triggered, then they start to get remarketing. So here is the math for smart remarketing. Like traditional remarketing will be somewhere around $4 for every 1,000 impressions, which basically comes out to be about half a penny per impression, so about a penny every time you show 2 ads. So assuming, let's say you have 20,000 visitors per month coming to your website, and you're following their advice of 20 impressions per visitor, you're going to spend $1,600, and you're going to be promoting it to botnets and people who don't care about your product. Now, in our scenario with smart remarketing, we're saying, look, what if you have 20,000 people, but only 5% are actually engaging with your site over the month? So you're really only having 1,000 people on your site that you really should care about. So if you follow that same formula, 1,000 people, and you do 20 impressions, you're really only spending $80, right? But 20 impressions is minimum, and the reason why everybody sells you these 20 impression packages is because $1,600 is probably what a small business could afford. They can't really afford more, so they just sell you at the minimum. Ideally, it should be 200 or 2,000 even, depending how much of a story you need to tell. So even at 200 impressions, right? We're saying if you're doing 1,000 visitors and you have 200 impressions, you're going to spend half of the money that you would spend doing the same thing with 20 impressions on 20,000 visitors. And you're still targeting the same exact people. You're not targeting some different crowd. You're still targeting people who are going to probably buy products from you. So ultimately, if somebody claims to you that remarketing is going to give you, 5% conversions, safe to assume that it's going to multiply that by 10 times. So maybe it's going to be 50% conversions, and you're still going to pay half of the price of what it normally would cost you. You'll basically do 10 times more impression. You'll do 10 times potentially more return on your investment, sales-wise, and you could be the number one bidder, right? So you know that instead of paying even half of a penny, you can pay a full penny, right? And you can pay $8 for every 1,000 impressions, because you know what? Who cares? You can be the number one. Every page, every CNN, Drudge Report, whatever website your visitors will go to, your ad will keep showing up because you're the number one bidder, and you're still not spending a lot of money. The title of this webinar is Launch a $1 Million Remarketing Campaign for 1,000 per month. If we do the math here, for you to reach, let's say, 400 impressions while spending the same amount of money, if you were to do 400 impressions here on 20,000 visitors, you might be talking about a $100,000 or even a $500,000 campaign to get the same kind of results that you can get with smart remarketing type of a campaign. It's fully automated too. There's nothing to do. It's literally just get the remarketing JavaScripts, which we plan to roll out soon, or if you have your own, that's fine, doesn't matter. Put it inside the C system. We're going to have a tutorial on how to do it. Can do it for you too. That's it. And then you just say anybody who gets a 9 or higher engagement score should be remarketed to, and you're pretty much done. That's the simple way of doing it. Of course, you can get creative and start telling the story with your ads and explaining your product, so that's already going into getting creative with what you can do. And you can also get creative with doing more than one campaign and doing one for the holidays. So you'll trigger the remarketing pixel, but you'll pause it until that holiday is on, and then you'll turn it on. Now, for some of the business-to-business clients and potentially, retailers as well, here's some ideas of what you can do to really maximize your smart remarketing. We talked about deploying multiple scripts for future events earlier. Let's take a step back for a second. The remarketing pixel, which gets fired into the visitor's browser, is equivalent to like a virus, right? You infect that browser, and now that browser knows that it can deliver ads if you pay agency money that advertises on specific websites. That browser will send a signal to that particular website that, hey, this is the ad you should show. So in other words, it's very similar to infecting the visitor's browser with a pixel, which will drive your ads. So let's assume for a second, I'll use a business-to-business example. I call somebody, or I visit their office, and I say, let me show you a little bit about our company. And I have them start browsing my website with me. So they're doing it on their own computer, and I'm doing it on my own computer, and I'm telling them where to go. And obviously they're going and clicking on areas that I tell them. So ultimately, they're browsing the website. And eventually they're going to hit an excellent engagement score, right? So what happens at that point? Their browser just got infected. So now they are getting remarketed to from that point on. If my strategy is get my potential prospect who I speak on the phone with browsing my own website for more than, let's say, 2 minutes to trigger that kind of score, now I can say, well, now I want to show him 5,000 impressions over the next year. And anywhere he goes, he's going to end up seeing my ad. But now I can take it even further. If I have his email, I can put that image pixel on my emails autoresponder. And then I start sending him the autoresponders, and then he opens up the email. If he opened one of those emails at one point on his mobile phone, now his mobile phone is infected with the remarketing pixel. If he at one point opens the email on his home computer, now his home computer has the remarketing pixel, right? Eventually, by putting this remarketing pixel in all of your communication specifically designed for your sales funnel, you can eventually tag your customers' every device for remarketing purposes. So, imagine this happening. The visitor is going to learn about your company, and then from that point on until the end of the year, all they see is your company. Anywhere they go, all the ads are for your company. I mean, that's pretty powerful. That's even more powerful than email marketing. Of course, if you merge that with email marketing, you're doing an overkill marketing job. But the idea here is to do this to the right prospect, because if you do it to everybody, you're going to quickly run out of money doing it. Because to run a campaign with this many impressions on all your visitors, including botnets and somebody who doesn't even care for your product, you could be spending $1 million doing the same kind of marketing. But now you don't have to. Now you can do the same thing with $1,000 and achieve those same type of results. The other thing is you can deploy a specific script on a specific landing page. So in other words, you know that the specific landing page is going to trigger a 2,000 impression remarketing campaign. So how does that work? Well, we know that remarketing pixels do not even get triggered until T decides that the engagement is excellent, right? So the idea here is, let's say you have a pricing page. On the pricing page, the JavaScript for the remarketing pixel will be for 2,000 impressions, while all the other pages will be for 200 impressions. And then you take the customer to all these different pages through your website, and then finally, if you think that they're a good fit, you can tell them, well, why don't you go to this other page, right, towards the very end? And that last page is going to initiate not the 200 impressions, but the 2,000 impressions. And you can obviously set that up on how often you want to show those impressions, and you can kind of split them up over the year. You don't have to show them all right away. The idea here is that mixing email marketing, if you're already doing it, and if you're not, it's fine, plus smart remarketing, you can literally be in front of the face of every possible customer that's really interested in your products. And assuming that the life cycle of your sale is more than like 2 or 3 days, let's say it's 7 days or more than 7 days, you need this because you're really losing most of your customers. And this is an opportunity to tell them your story. So here's the different ad ideas of what you can do with these remarketing ads and how you can tell them your stories. So the branding, it could be a mix of different things, and we plan to do this with Shopping Cart Elite. First, it's like about you, right? So in other words, you create a bunch of content, and it could be just a one-liner suggesting your features, suggesting who you are, or finding a clever word with an ad which shows some kind of an image of something relevant to your company and to that word. Let's say you put the word, I'll just use Richard as an example here. Let me go to his website. Richard sells under the sink units that energizes and cleans the water, right? So the idea here could be even an image like this, like finally the real truth about poison inside the bottle of water, right? So that could be a little banner ad, and that could be one of the 500 banner ads that get displayed over time. You could talk about who Richard is. It could talk about why he likes doing what he's doing. It could talk about anything that's related to about us. The whole idea behind these remarketing ads, when you get to those kind of volumes like 500 and 1,000 and so on, is really telling your story. And the way you do the math on the story is, like I said, for every 10 impressions, you have 5 seconds, which means that, let's say your story is 10 minutes long, 10 ads equals 10 seconds. One ad, 1 second. Okay, easy enough, right? You don't have to actually create 10 different ads, like different variations, to address every second of it. So you could basically say, you know what, I'm going to show one ad 10 times over and over again, and then by the time I get to the 11th ad, it will change, which means for every 10 seconds, you change the ad to kind of make sure that your story will eventually be heard. So you create enough ads that tells your story through these 10 seconds little banner ads, right? And if you get somebody creative that can design these banners, and we plan to offer them, we're not offering them yet, but if we do, I'll announce it. You can create like a storyboard of those ads. You can talk about how you started, talk about the features and benefits. You can get clever with the ads. So clever with the ads is like do something really creative. This is not that creative, but the idea would be the same. Like come up with some kind of a catchy phrase that is not really selling your product, but it's selling some kind of a information, like content. You don't have to sell anything in those ads, right? Those ads are just branding. It's telling your story. You don't have to sell anything in those ads. So you can get clever with them and figure out how you want to attract attention, because the whole idea here is not to blend in. You constantly want to do something different with those ads. You can do motivational ads. We plan to do those, so different speakers that are relevant. You can do current event ads. Missing plane, if you can somehow fit that missing plane to something that you're selling, let's say you're selling a GPS unit. I don't know, let's say you're selling mobile phones or something, you can, or here, this is a good one. If you are selling a portable battery to take with your phone, right, you can get an ad saying, if you ever go missing on a plane, make sure you have your portable battery with you. And it's not a funny situation. You probably shouldn't. I'm not going to get into it, but bottom line is you could use current events to get creative with your ads. Again, that could be a separate marketing pixel, right? So there could be one marketing pixel which gets turned on only when you submit a new ad to it, and then it gets turned off a day later. It does require a lot of maintenance. We need to measure how effective it is and how much attention it's going to bring. You could also do abandoned cart recovery, right? Somebody abandoned the shopping cart. We're saying let's do email marketing to them. Let's trigger the autoresponder. Well, how about doing an abandoned cart ad by saying, hey, we know you abandoned the cart. Tell us why, and maybe fill out a survey, or here's a coupon, or fill out a survey and then we'll give you a coupon. So maybe you can get some feedback on why people are abandoning. Maybe it's a technical problem. Maybe your price is too high, whatever the case is. Limited time sale. Let's say the past 2 days the sales are down. You throw an ad, make it all red with black letters, and you're saying, right now we get 50% off. Click here, right? So you have that control over your visitors. Let's say even this webinar. I think there's like 3,000 people currently in our autoresponder pipeline. And let's say I'm doing this webinar, so I want to get as many as I want of those 3,000 people to join the webinar. So what I could do is I can show an ad by saying, hey guys, we're doing a webinar. Now, yes, I can do email marketing and hopefully it reaches their inbox, but I can also do the ad as well as email marketing. So I'm doing an email reminder and I'm doing an ad reminder. If there's an appointment that was set up, again, I think that might get a little bit annoying, but we can always put a little ad saying, here, we're really excited to speak with you on this particular day, and I'm not sure yet how we're going to pass the correct ad to make that work yet to the specific visitor. We need to think about that. But anyway, all these things are technically possible. I went a little bit kind of deep dive on some of the fine details of what's possible, but in your case, if you don't want to maintain it too much, you could just have a regular ad by saying 50% off, and whenever you need more sales, you just turn it on. Daily deals, you can have a marketing pixel for daily deals only. You need to push some kind of a product today that you just got in stock. You trigger the ad, put in a $100 budget into it, and say, I want to spend all $100 today, right? Because the daily deal is only today, not tomorrow. You might exhaust all $100, but guess what? By exhausting $100 and being the number one spot, you're going to end up having your ad literally on every single page that they visit. So it doesn't matter where they're going to go, they're going to end up seeing that particular ad because you are the number one bidder and you have the most budget for it. That's another way. Some more ideas. So product launches. If you are doing a new product ad, if you want to try to maybe compare yourself to competition. If you know that people might be looking at other solutions, you can say, here's why we're better than the solution. You can put a delay of when that ad will show up. Social media, when you do remarketing, you can actually do remarketing not only on different sites like news or whatever, but you can also do it on Facebook. You can pretty much do it anywhere where there's an ad online. There's an ad exchange pretty much handling the whole internet today. And what we're doing is we're setting up different deals with different ad exchanges right now, and we'll be eventually offering the service where you can just pay once and just go everywhere. But there's an ad exchange that can basically trigger the whole internet. So your ad can literally show up across every single web page on the internet. Reminders, self-explanatory reminders that, hey, you have something in your wish list, or hey, you have something in your shopping cart you forgot about. If they made a purchase, you can do a thank you message. So again, you would put that remarketing pixel on the thank you page of your checkout. When that gets triggered, you don't have to run 500 impressions on that. You can run 10 per visitor, for example, thanking them for placing an order with you, right? You can do comeback messages, so you can put a remarketing pixel on the thank you page that's going to trigger on a 60-day delay or a 30-day delay. So in other words, when somebody buys something from you, 30 days later, the ad starts showing up, hey, you should come back to us. You can promote, so if you're doing, let's say, wholesale and you need dealers, you can actually promote people to sign up for your dealer applications. Okay, hey, by the way, we're now offering wholesale. If you know anybody or you're interested, here's the ad, check it out, right? People engage with you, so they might want to re-engage with you. Competitor searches, you can actually do that. I didn't know that before, but you could. So if somebody types in, let's say, your competitor name, and that visitor has a remarketing pixel, you can basically say when they type in a name in Google or wherever, you want your ad to show up at that point. So you could do that. The things that we recommend for your ads is to keep a theme, so people will get used to your particular look and feel, because all the ads are different. And if they keep seeing a different ad with different colors and the logo is in the different spot, they won't really identify you as you. So you want to make sure that whatever campaign you launch, it has the same theme, the same structure ads. It's going to look very similar from one to another. I have a list of all the ad sizes. It's not only ad sizes, it's ad sizes and video that you can do. So video will end up showing up on YouTube and some of these other video sites, and the different banner ads, I think there's like over 30 different sizes that you can do. So a lot of times people just do 5 of the most popular sizes. What happens is they miss out on all those other real estates where some sites might have this weird banner size, and guess what? Because nobody really focuses on those, your ad will show up there. It's so inexpensive for you to remarket using smart remarketing, it makes sense for you to just touch every single ad size, so you end up being absolutely everywhere, no matter how small the ad space or how big the ad space really is. This is the last slide on smart remarketing. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer your questions. Question here, competitor search. If we tag the script with a URL of our competitors, we can show an ad every time one of our customers goes on one of those sites. It's not going to show your ad on that particular site, but what ends up happening is, let's say on Yahoo, Well, even Google would actually work if you have a text ad, a part of remarketing. Like right now, if you go to Google directly without remarketing, you can tell Google, when you type in competitor A, I want to show up every single time, right? The problem with that is people that are looking for competitor A, they're probably looking for competitor A, not for you. You might waste a lot of money doing that. But if you're doing remarketing, you know that that particular person visited your website before, and now he's looking for competitor A. So you're not targeting everybody who's looking for competitor A. You're specifically saying that particular guy who's on my site, who has my pixel in his browser, he should see my ad. And I want to be number one for that particular ad. So when he goes to Google and searches for it, then your ad will end up showing up. It doesn't only work in Google, it pretty much works everywhere, including Facebook and Yahoo and Bing. So as long as you participate in all the ad exchanges when you do this, which we plan to offer that service where you're just going to pay to one company to be on every single ad exchange, you're going to end up showing up everywhere pretty much. The question is, the way the email pixel works is we don't care what website it's on. As long as the pixel is triggered inside a specific browser, the browser gets infected pretty much. And you can delete your cookies to delete that, but ultimately, if somebody is using Google Chrome and they're using Gmail and you sent them an email and you have an image pixel there, when they open that email and an image pixel triggers their IP, as well as that image pixel becomes a cookie inside their browser. Now that browser knows about showing the ad whenever they go somewhere else. So the question is, I'm asking about a customer who picked up a script on my site. Just so we're all on the same page, once the script triggers on their browser will now know to show your ad wherever there's an ad space that's being resold. You know, like some people have AdSense on their website where Google powers the ads. Some people have other companies' ads there. So that space there is powered by ad exchanges, which actually deliver the ads and decide who to show it to and so on. If you're curious to see how this whole thing works, if we go to Google and you type in Lumascape and you go to display Lumascape, these are all different companies that power digital advertising to your customers. So you could see there's ad servers and there's agencies and there's media planning and all these different ones. And one of them is supposed to be like ad exchange. I don't know. Yeah, right here. Ad networks. Here's the exchanges. See, like the exchanges power the ad networks. So the idea here is what we're doing is we're doing this part here, verification. T Software does the verification part. It does the verification part on click fraud, and it does the measurement on this side. So it kind of touches both of these. The idea here is to work with the exchanges directly. So in other words, you could go to Google and get their JavaScript and put it into T, and Google will buy the traffic for you through the exchanges. You could go through T directly, which we will start offering that service, and we deal with these exchanges directly. The benefit that you'll get is better integration. The reason why we even went to the exchanges directly is because of those special events and promotion. When a JavaScript is triggered, we can't just turn off that campaign. We actually have to tell them that this IP should not be remarketed to until we tell you to do so. So the way it works is even though we trigger, let's say, 10 campaigns, 9 of the 10 will then say this IP should be blocked from remarketing. And what ends up happening is all those campaigns are active, but those IPs are not active. And then whenever you're going to say, okay, I want to activate all the IPs for a special event, then you can choose which campaign to activate. We'll have a wizard inside the system for you to enable, disable, and that needs some work. So that's where the ad exchanges are coming in, and that's where that wizard is coming in. So that's a little bit more complicated, but the basic stuff, which I kind of explained earlier, it's just putting a piece of JavaScript and saying to trigger it only when the engagement happens. So ultimately what you're doing is instead of marketing to 20,000 people, you're marketing to 1,000 people, sometimes even less. You might end up targeting only 100 people a month. So the budget for remarketing is very, very minimal, especially if you're not going to do up too many impressions in the beginning. So you can check it out. It's a Lumascape, and just find an image. You can read more about how the advertising works. I'm going to kind of touch a little bit on email marketing, and I'm going to touch a little bit on how the ads come into play with email marketing. Let's start with ads and email marketing. So when we first started doing email marketing, we said let's run an experiment on doing these micro ads where it's like a 3 sentence ad that gets emailed out to the customer. And at first, we had no idea what we were going to do with those because we have to come up with the content every single time and we don't want to bore people with it. So we have to kind of get creative every single time we have to make those. And, we send out one email per day, I believe, at the moment. So at first, we weren't sure how it's going to work out. Then we realized that it's actually not as annoying as we thought it's going to be for people who are actually interested in it because it's like natural conversation. It's like, you come to work and somebody tells you, oh, by the way, did you know about this feature, right? And if you have enough features to talk about, each email can technically be like a little bit snippet of a conversation. And just by sending out that little snippet every day, you're not that annoying. If somebody doesn't like you, then they can just unsubscribe or stop reading your emails. But if they don't mind, they continue reading those snippets and it becomes like a conversation. Then, in order for us to ensure inbox delivery, we decided that we probably should change the emails that we use because when you send out that many emails, bottom line is it doesn't have a very good delivery rate. And what ended up happening, we first started doing it to get a better inbox delivery rate, but then people actually started thinking that these are all different companies promoting the same company. And when we started getting phone calls, people were saying, I heard a lot about your company. Everybody's talking about it, but this is the first time I'm kind of reaching out to you. So that I found that kind of funny because we that wasn't the intention to use different domains to do email marketing, and then next thing you know, the people are thinking that others are promoting us. It actually ends up building authority. So then, we do email marketing and we have a bunch of these micro ads. And then we finally get to the remarketing, right? And we're saying, well, we need to do hundreds of these ads and they have to be not annoying. And then we look at our micro ads and we're saying, well, why don't we just use the subject lines from these email micro ads to create ads for remarketing? Because it's a lot of work. I mean, if you really think about it, this is, coming up with 500 ads. Even if you don't do 500 ads, even if you do 500 impressions and divide it by 10, so one ad for every 10 impressions, 50 ads, it's still a lot of work, like, coming up with 50 creative ads. So we ended up using the email marketing subject lines to create the ad. And then we also have about like 100 ads or so, which are motivational ads that we keep posting on Facebook. So we figured that those can also be mixed into this big funnel. And then we want to then promote our About Us page because by the way, if you guys haven't checked out the About Us page on Shopping Cart Elite, you really should. It's like my favorite collection of videos in here. We basically said, see, like I wrote here, it's very difficult to express our passion about Shopping Cart Elite without powerful visualization and tonality. As Albert said, that we communicate through 7-38-55 rule, 55 visualization, 38 tonality, and 7% words. So a lot of times when you just have words, you're kind of not really communicating. And then if you have an image, you trigger the visualization. But if you have video, you end up triggering all three of them if the video is powerful enough. That's why we have so many videos on Shopping Cart Elite to be able to trigger the full potential of communication with our customers. Videos should definitely be a part of your remarketing campaign, but again, making videos is not that simple. It's a lot of work. You could use this to make videos about your product, and it'll be better than nothing. Of course, professional videos are preferred, but if they need a budget for that. You can also, I guess, use other videos if they're relevant. Richard has like a 2-hour movie on his website, which is an international video. You could break that up into small video segments and put that a part of your video remarketing, and then at the end of each video you keep promoting to check out your website for more information. You don't have to actually say buy our product. In that video, you can just say more information on our website, and then your website ends up having that product. The reason why I started talking about email marketing because we ended up reusing our email marketing subject lines to create our ads, and we ended up reusing our website videos to create the video remarketing. So ultimately, as we keep loading more and more content on our website, the remarketing really was easy for us to implement because we already had all the creative. We pretty much had everything done. We just had to plug it all in. We haven't launched it into effect yet, so we're still kind of polishing it out to make sure the ads are in line and making sure that Shopping Cart Elite will be able to trigger the right score because I definitely don't want to end up triggering 2,000 ads on the on the wrong person. So we're still doing some polishing, but the triggering of a JavaScript on a excellent engaged visitor is already done. If you're using it now, you can start using it through that system right now through Shopping Cart Elite site. So that's how we use the email marketing content to power the remarketing. So I'm going to talk about the creative part of your remarketing. On Shopping Cart Elite, before we made the site look the way it is right now, it took us about 3 tries and 2 years to get it to look like this. I know that our branding works really well for our company because we get compliments all the time. We get compliments from our customers, from our competitors. I'm sure if you browse the website, you'll agree it's pretty good. There's a reason why it was designed the way. There's a reason why you think it's good, and that's because we followed the advice of Culture Code very carefully. We also did the eMyth branding course, and it took us a very long time to put it together. And then we had to put everybody in our company on the same page to make sure they understand what we did with both of those things. So when we create our ads, all of our ads are in line with the brand. I would highly recommend that if you are going to create 500 ads, since you are going to have to create them and you're going to spend time and money on it, just do them right. Don't rush through it and get someone in India to just put some clip art with some aerial drop shadows and do just a bunch of ads that do not look very good.